Hey, Sassy Stuff. I'm Emma, and I'm here with Molly, and we're going to review the Texas and Texas A&M game. Let's get to it. So, Molly, this was the return of the Lone Star Showdown. The last game was played in 2011. This was at Kyle Field, and Texas absolutely went in there and destroyed Texas A&M 17-7. How'd you feel about this game?
I obviously, they were favored, they were my favor, I was excited. I did not expect it to be so close. There was a moment there that it was definitely on our tiptoes, and I don't know, I feel like our defense probably had one of the best games of their lives. I can't say that about the offense right now. This is, like, the continuing thing for Texas. Their offensive line, I think Quinn Ewers had a great first half, and then he came back from halftime and was just a little shaky. Which is what we've said every game. They do pull it together though. That's the best part.
Yeah, he showed resilience playing through an injury, but he did have those 2 turnovers. They did show his little ankle brace was, like, on the outside with, I don't know, it was new technology, really, really cool stuff. We did also see Manning. He came on, appeared on a 4th and 2, led them to a touchdown, which we always love to see. The future of the program being bright, and we always know it would have been bright having a Manning there. Quinn Ewers was definitely shaky, but he is battling that injury. But I think he did a lot of great things along the way. He was 17 for 28, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 1 fumble. So those were not shining moments. However, this defense did not allow for a single offensive touchdown, which I think was the best thing to see moving into that SEC championship. You want to know that your defense can hang with the best of them, and they really shut down Marcel Reed. But just what I was worried about is they wouldn't be able to stop the run, and they were able to stop the run.
Last season when we played Washington, I felt like this was kind of the opposite problem where I felt like our defense just could not stop the ball. And I think that that is something that they really honed in on this summer and spring camp, summer camp. I think that they really, really worked their defense. They also have some of the best players. So I think they really did that. But then I'm happy that we won. I'm a little upset how we won. I'm upset that it was so close, and if it weren't for our defense in the 4th quarter, fumbling, like, helping get the fumble, we would not have won the game. Or maybe not, I don't know, it just would've been way closer. I can't say that, but I just wanna say I feel like the defense on Texas team genuinely won the game.
The Texas A&M team failed to really capitalize on those turnovers, including a blocked punt and red zone opportunities. There were multiple turnovers on drives. So this was not their best performance whatsoever. I don't know if losing to Auburn the week before kind of hit their ego or something. I know they were preparing for this game before that Auburn game because in his press conference, Mike Elko said he's getting ready for, Auburn. So even 2 weeks of preparation wasn't enough for this game. There were no offensive touchdowns. It was a scoreless first half at home. That was the first scoreless half at home since 2017. Um, and we always talk about Kyle Field as being one of the hardest places to play. And I really don't think it rattled Texas too much. They only had one false start. So it was not a great performance for Texas A&M. They won't be making a bowl game, so it's not the end of the world. But it just wasn't good. And I mean, Marcel Reed, he did what he could, but I thought that he was very contained. This was not his best performance whatsoever. Looking to the future, is he going to be their starter? His inexperience really showed in this game. He had misreads, poor pocket presence. He really needs to develop better passing. I know he can run like crazy, which is great, but will it be enough for him to start for Texas A&M next year? I don't know. We won't know until next year, but this was not his best night.
I'm really looking forward now, though, to Texas facing Georgia once again, though. I think that was just, we've all said this, the worst game Texas has ever played this season when they played Georgia. And I feel like they've had a lot of wins behind them. I think their offense is what lacks consistency. And so my prayer for Georgia is that they show up and they're consistent throughout the entire game, not just the first half, not just the first and the 4th quarter, the whole game is what my hope and prayer is.
I think with Georgia too, it's which Carson Beck are we gonna get? If he's on, then he can really carry his team to a win. But if he's not, and especially with the receivers that he has, I feel like a lot of the times it's either he misses a pass or his receiver drops the pass. I just don't think there's any in between sometimes. But then other games, he's absolutely fantastic. I mean, we saw in the Georgia Tech game, they were off for 3 quarters, and then they came back in the 4th quarter and were fantastic. So, you can do that against a team like Georgia Tech, but you can't do that against a team like Texas. It's a team that is so incredibly stacked from top to bottom, offense and defense. You look at their receivers, they have Matthew Golden, who had 3 receptions against Texas A&M, 73 yards. You have Isaiah Bond. Then you look and you have the running back Weitzner, who had 33 carries, 186 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, who really opens up the offense in a way. So that it's just so dynamic. And if Georgia is off, if they play like they did in the first 3 quarters against Georgia Tech, I think it's going to be a long night for the Bulldogs.
I mean, that game was wild, actually. The longest game in SEC's history, I believe, is what they were saying.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It was 8 overtimes, which is the most in FBS history. Yep.
That is so crazy. I
But
mean,
you can't do that against Texas.
you definitely can't. So, I think it's gonna be a good game, and I'm just hoping that we get the best version of viewers, the best offensive line, a consistent one. Once again, I'm happy with the win with Texas versus Texas A&M. What I'm disappointed is we're talking about 2 teams that are drastically different. We're talking about a team like Texas who is number 3 right now versus a number 20 team. The fact that we were even on our toes at one point in that 3rd quarter really bothers me. I really would have loved to have lived or won by 2 touchdowns. I think that would have been the most ideal situation for Texas. Um, it's just I wanna be critical of my own team and say, "Hey, you guys aren't being super consistent on the O-line." Much love. I think you guys are great. Uh, but please, please do better, against a team like Georgia.
Well, especially because Texas A&M did have those 2 takeaways, so if they were able to capitalize on this, we would be saying a different result right now. Texas would be out. They still would go to the playoffs. It'd be a 2-loss Texas team. Let's be real. This is a show about ratings. They're not gonna leave Texas out with 2 losses. So, it just wouldn't have fared well for them.
Yeah, and that's where I just go back to I think the defensive line with Texas is generally what won the game. With those 2 takeaways, they were able to stop the ball, which is exactly what we need coming into the playoffs, which is great. We have, like, probably the best defensive line in the SEC. You have to have a good offensive line to actually score the ball. So, coming into the playoffs, I'm just hoping and crossing my fingers that our team and our line is consistent. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so they will be preparing all week to go to Atlanta to play in the SEC championship game against Georgia. My worry here is that, and we will break this game down further this week, but my worry here is that Georgia went into Texas and beat them 30-15 in October. Granted, you can learn and grow and all of that. But Georgia playing in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, this will be their second time playing there this year, but that is kind of a home game for Georgia. Georgia and Alabama know Mercedes-Benz Stadium very, very well. So Texas going into that almost home game environment might not shape up so well. I did like their poise in Kyle Field, so we'll see if they can do that at Mercedes-Benz as well. And then Texas A&M, they're going to be in a bowl game. They're waiting their assignment right now. They're going to focus on roster improvements for 2025, see what they can build there. I know the start of their season and now the last game in their season didn't exactly go the way they wanted to, but I still think they had a very strong turnout this year. But you never want to lose to your rival, which is Texas, especially with Texas's first year in the SEC.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining Sassy Stuff. Me and Emma, we're so happy to have you. If you guys don't mind just giving a like, a follow, a subscribe, follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We like to go live on TikTok. It is a fun time over there. And we will see you guys next week.